Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. So, today I wanna build with you a primary coil for my Tesla coil. So recently, because I now using two tubes in parallel, I don't experiment it that much with different primary coils on that application. So now I want to find out what things will change when I change the setup on the primary. So now I wanna wound a new primary, sorry, with a little bit less turns. So now I have 44 turns on it, and I will change it to 34 turns. So yeah, this will reduce a little bit the inductivity of this primary coil, and also the coupling will a little bit lower. Yeah, in this case I just try it and find out what this will change, or if anything will change, I don't know. Let's find it out. Yeah, what I need for this is I use this wiring. This is about 1.78 millimeter diameter copper wire. With the insulation it's about 3.4 millimeters. So that's the outer diameter of the insulated wire. So when you calculate with that, you always have to calculate the insulation to the distance between the copper wires or the copper windings when you calculate primary. So with that, what I use for the feedback coil is in my case now a low pass filter coil. It's 1 millimeter diameter wire. It's coated wire, so you always can use 1.32 millimeters. I tried it with 0.5 millimeter wire, so things will change slightly. So in this case you have to experiment with it, what works the best in this case. So in my case I made the best, had the best yeah, with 1 millimeter wire. Yeah, there we have the wire. So we have some double-sided tape, some insulation tape, some shrinking tubes, because my wire for the primary is not long enough, so I have to add a little bit from a different coil. In my case I'm using this tubing. It's 125 millimeters in diameter. Works quite good. And what I'm using in my case for getting the distance between the feedback and the primary windings, I just use some rubber tubing. But you will see it later in the video when I use it. Then you'll get what I mean with this. So let's start it. How I get started in the beginning with this tube is, obviously I calculated my primary that I want with the right turns I want first. So my calculator said I need about 12 centimeters spacing for my wires, for my winding. So my winding will be 12 centimeters high, and I wanna get started about here and ending about here, I think. So I'll leave a little bit rest. I made a mark here. I will cut the tubing here. So, but I have my first problem. When I go with the tube there, I want to start with my primary winding on the same height as my secondary winding. So this tube, in my case, is a little bit too high. So because my secondary winding begins about at this height, so in my case I have to cut down this ring. I have to cut this tube here. Yeah, so that's the first thing I want to make, is to cut the tube on this marking and around on the edge to this outer ring to get rid of that. To give me an orientation how I can cut this tube in a straight line, so I use tape and tried to tape it, yeah, really straight. So I have a straight line where I can cut this tube here, and there I made a marking with a pen to get a line here to cut it. So for the safety, cutting these tubes will release a really nasty plastic dust. I don't want to breathe this in, so I have a mask. I use these goggles to save my eyes and these here to save my ears. So safety first. Oh. This is. We have the finished cutted tube. Yeah, now, so like I said, I have calculated about a height of about 12 centimeters. So I will mark the 12 centimeters out and will start to wind the primary coil from upper to down, because I have to add a little bit of extra cable because this ring is not long enough for one single nice winding. So, and when I have to add more cable, so I have to solder it, and I put a shrinking tube over it. But when I have this point on the upper side, the possibility will rise of having problems with arcing between the primary and the secondary coil of this Tesla coil. So that's why I start to wind this primary from the upper side to down, because I want to have my soldered extra wire down on the coil. Made my mark here at about a little bit over 12 centimeters, because at the end I wanna add one turn of the tubing to separate the primary and the secondary coil, the primary and the feedback coil a little bit to prevent for arcing. So what is, yeah, you have to be careful you have to wind all your coils, the secondary, the primary and the feedback coil, in the same direction. So that's something you have to be careful or think about, that you don't wind this coil in the wrong direction, because this will cause some issues, or the Tesla coil won't run right, or it won't run, yeah, it just don't works when you're unlucky. Yeah, how I begin with that. See use this coil, throw it. So, using some insulation tape, I just let some room to reach out for the capacitor bank later. I tape it about on the height of my marking. So, yeah, and now let the fun begin. That's something that can really take a while. You really have to be really careful to wind it nice and tight. Later, when you finished it, you can change some things. Sometimes the cable is slippery enough so you can move a little bit the primary coil up or down when you want or when you need it. So in my case, I try to get it right at first place, so I don't have to change things later when it's finished. The wire is used up. Now I have solder on the other rule. First have to fix it here. So this coil don't getting anywhere. So it's nice and tight. That's good. Yeah. So when we count these turns, this first upper cable is not one turn. The first turn begins here, is the second one. So because this upper one has to go one turn around, so we do this. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So, okay, we have 23 turns with 10 meters of this wire. So, what I use for me personally, because I work as an electrician and we have this at work. That's I don't know how it's called on English, but I think it's cable scissors on English. I don't really know, but these are really nice to get rid of the insulation of the cable. So in my case, I just cut about 1 centimeter of the insulation on the other cable too. The scissors is already really old and got dull, so I might have to get a new one. So there we have my old trusty solder station. Pro tip to get them clean. So have to pre-solder this cable. My station is not hot enough yet. Yeah, but it works really good. nice. So put the tube over that, get it lighter, shrink it up. I love this stuff. Nice. So now we have this. So we can continue to wind this coil. So since we have about 23 turns on this coil now, we need to get to the 34, we need 11 turns more. So I think I have a little bit too much room here, but yeah, we will find out. So we have, yeah, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, wow, tangled up. 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34. Oh yeah, nice. This will fit really nice. Oh my god. Cut it about there. So that's always a little bit sketchy here, because when I lose or slip with my fingers, I have to remake everything. Yeah, nice. Put it nice and tight around. Push it a little bit down, or a little bit, so to get this really nice and tight. So because when you leave air pockets between some wires, so what you're calculating is wrong because you have air pockets between the wires. So when you want this, you have to calculate a little bit more distance between the wires, so you can leave more distance between the wires. But when you calculate it, in my case, with 1.78 millimeter copper wire and I think 1.62 millimeter insulation between the windings, I have to wound it really tight. So because when I let air pockets, I have to calculate again with these air pockets. So because the inductivity will change when you change how your winding got wound. Sorry. Oh man. So fix this. So at first this don't have to be really beautiful at the first, because it can be with my tuning later is not really right and I want to change something. So I used a little bit more turns than I calculated. So I calculated with 30 turns. So I got extra 4 turns for compensate a little bit for the load down of big streamers or big arcs on the secondary. Because of that, the resonance will change a little bit and I have to get a little bit lower frequency on the primary. So I compensate a little bit with just a few turns more and a little bit more capacitance on the primary tank cap as required. So now we come on use to this rubber tube. I want to get this really tight in here. Cut it to the right length. Have to fix it with a little bit of tape. Don't slip it. So get it nice and tight around here. So that's just how I do it. You can do it different. So that's nothing you have to do. The most of the people just let some airspace between the feedback wire and the primary. But me personally, I like to do it this way. So I have a mechanical separation of these windings. So winding such a primary is sometimes a good finger workout. But I think I won't. I think this is the 21 or 22th primary that I wound for my Tesla coil, but it's only the 3rd for the application now, how the Tesla coil is like now with the 2 GU81M tubes. But when I have just one tube and tuned it and tweaked this coil for a while, yeah, I want a lot of these coils to change inductivities and winding ratios and coupling. You can experiment so much with that. So alone just on this coil, this will do a lot. So you have to experiment with that. You can't just wind one coil and that's it. So yeah, so now we go on to the feedback coil. So at first I want to cut my double-sided tape, and yes, I use a broomstick for my camera holder. So I use a little bit of tape and just cut a little bit out of this. because I winding my feedback not on a, yeah, it's an angled area, so the wire will always slip somewhere down. So in my case, I'm using some double-sided tape, or is it called it like that on English? Double-sided tape? I don't know. Don't have to look good, just have to fix a little bit the wire. Yeah, no. Okay. So we have that. And now I want to have on my application, like I tuned everything on my Tesla coil like it is now, and how I think it is working good now. That's about that I need about 10 turns of feedback wire. So I find out this works good on applications of many people's Tesla coils, and I find out this works good on my Tesla coil too. So I have to figure out, yeah. Just go start here with this. I have to fix it a little bit so the tape will hold this by its own. It's not strong enough. Yeah. So get this on here. Yeah. Now start to wind this. So one turn. Two. 9 and 10. So about 10 turns should be enough in my case. So this will change over, this will change with different applications, how the tubes are powered, how many turns you have on the primary. So it can be that in my case now 10 turns are not right, because I used 10 turns on my primary with 44 turns. So it can be that I now only need 9 turns, but I have to figure this out. But for now, just testing it should be right. So fine tuning is coming later. Now we have the feedback wound in the same direction as the primary. That is a must. So without that it don't work. So since we have this primary done, I want to add some, I think 3 holes here, and cut some threads, cutting some threads in it with this here, to being able to set 3 screws, and later being able to set a height a little bit up or down with the primary, because I find out this primary is a little bit low. So I hold it onto my Tesla coil and have seen the secondary coil starts around here, and yeah, I want to be able to change the height of about 3 centimeters plus or minus. So in this case, yeah, I want to make this a little bit able to change some height. I just done it while doing this by eye. So let's see. This will fit. This here. That's a different screw. It will fit. So now we added some screws in here, so I can vary the height on the base plate of this. Yes. So that you can see how I been able to change the height of this. So I have this base plate here, and now I can screw in this screw and fixing this on this height, or just leave it down here or set it a little bit higher. So it's nice to have this, to being able to change something in this. So now I have to shorten the wire and make some loops to screw it on the plates where I have my capacitor bank. So this is the next one what I will do. So when you calculate this primary coil, when you want to get it really precise, so you look how long this cable is from the coil to this plate, and look how much will add this to the turns, and calculate this length with the turn ratio. Sorry, I don't get it on English. I hope you all understand this. Yeah, because this cable is adding like a half turn to the primary coil. So I just shortened the cables, and you also want to have these cables as short as possible, because it's kind of adding to the primary as a coil, but it's not actually a coil because it's not coiled around. Don't know how to say this, but this will building up electromagnetic field too, and will lose some energy when it's When you have it like, I don't know, 40 centimeter long, this will lose energy, and this kind of makes your behavior of the primary a little bit unpredictable. So in this case, leave it as short as possible. Also the feedback wires also as short as possible. It's just better and more predictable what will come. So how I make these little loops, I just get rid of the insulation at, I don't know, 3.5 centimeters. I'm using some tool, wound it around this. And doing this here. I hope it's in focus, I can see. So, and I just solder it later. To get it mechanical strong. So now we have this. I hope this will focus. Okay, yeah, I would say I just throw this on this Tesla coil, and yeah, I have a little bit to go to look out with the capacitors. Yeah, I think I have to experiment a little bit around with that, but we can find this out together. So check my capacitance on the primary capacitor or tank capacitor. So I measured it, and now I have about 1 nanofarad. So in my calculations that I have done with the, by the way, I'm using the, it's on German, it's called the Rake-Rechner. Yeah, I only calculate with that. So yeah, one thing on the calculator, this don't calculates, I think it don't calculates the coupling or the capacitive coupling between the primary and the secondary. That's one thing I don't know. So it can happen that I need more capacitance on the primary tank capacitor. So, but always, so then this capacitance, so what I calculated was 1 nanofarad with 30 turns on this primary, and now I have 34 turns. So in this case, how I said before, I compensate a little bit for the arcs that coming out of the top load that don't exist now here. So there we have the top load. I just screw it on here. Nice and tight. So yeah, we will see. So I think the capacitance is a little bit low for that output this Tesla coil normally produces. So I think I have to add 100 picofarad, but it's always a little bit more than 100. I think it's 120 or whatever. So when this is not enough, I have to change something. So I have a different secondary coil. So I have this here. This is a secondary coil with 0.5 millimeter wire. So by the way, this what I'm using now is 0.4 millimeter diameter wire. Sorry. On 30 centimeter long winding. This is also 30 centimeter long. So the resonance frequency is a little bit higher. I think about 900 kilohertz without top load, and I think about 650 kilohertz with my little top load. Man, sorry. And with this secondary, I'm at about, well, I think 760 kilohertz without top load, and with the top load at 509 kilohertz. So when I not have enough capacity, because I only have 100 picofarad and 800 picofarad extra, so 800 is way too much. When I add this, now this don't will work, and when 100 picofarad are not enough, I will change to the other secondary. So in this case, this capacitance should be enough. So, but we will find it out. Also, before I forgot to mention this, so make sure that you don't make sharp turns on these cables, especially high on the primary. So make sure this is nice and smooth. So, and yeah, everything is set up. Yeah, I also I'm also now just on 2 mods in series, because when I testing some new stuff, I don't wanna put so much power in this coil. I also set my ballast transformer to the lowest setting, so just wanna start on really low power, because when something wants to go wrong, it will go wrong. So in this case, I don't want to risk my tubes or other things on this coil. Yeah. Ah yeah, and I just added a switch where I can switch this socket to 400 volts on 2 phases. So in this case, the microwave oven transformers now are not only on the secondary coil in series, so they are also on the primary coil in series. So I'm running it on 2 phases. The voltage drops a little bit because of that, but I have much more power available, and yeah, hopefully we need this power. But just switch it on. That's the first light. I didn't tested it yet, so you will see the absolute first light with this primary coil. So when something will go wrong, yeah, you will see that something will go wrong. Hopefully not. Okay, let's start. Okay, this looks already good. Okay, the output is less than before for the safety. So always unplug, and before I do anything on this capacitors, I will short out these capacitors and the microwave oven capacitors too, because when they still holding some load, they will shock me, and that's not fun. So yeah, stay safe. Now I added some extra 100 picofarad, so let's see how this behaves. Okay, let's test. this output is really okay for the lowest setting. It sounds good, behaves okay. So now let's see what's happened when I push a little bit more power. We have the second lowest setting of the ballast transformer I have in. So now let's see. Okay, this looks different now. So this tape roll is hanging about 80 centimeters over the breakout point of this Tesla coil. Yeah, it's okay. Now I changed the setup a little bit higher. So let's see. Okay, this sounded not that good. I hate when this happens. So what I see now is that the arcs not grow that much with more power. So there is a problem in the tuning, I think, and I have to figure this out. But yeah, this video is already really long. Yeah, I will do this off video because this takes a lot of time. And yeah, I hope I get the tuning right with this coil, or I have to change to a different secondary coil. I don't know, I will find it out. But yeah, I think that's from me today. Hope you enjoyed it. When you want more of this content, yeah, just write this down for me. When you have questions to me, I will answer that. Yeah, and I have more of some VTTC topic in my mind for the future, what I want to film and want to go into detail. Yeah, so when you want to see this, then please let there an abundant God, my English. Sorry. Whatever. Have a nice evening or nice day or nice morning. Bye bye.